Believe it or not, I fell in love when I was only 6 years old, with the game behind this ball. Basketball has been one of my many passions since I was a little girl. Not just any game of basketball, though, women's basketball in particular. Many of you may be thinking to yourselves, shaking your heads, why? Women's basketball is too slow, they can't dunk, and it's just not exciting. If you are one of these people, I want you to listen to me very carefully, because I hope to open your eyes and change your opinion of the sport. Today, I will persuade you to either sit down and watch a women's basketball or get up and go buy tickets. First, I will discuss a female player who just may be able to keep up with Kobe and LeBron. Second, I will talk about a women's professional team that will change the way you look at Seattle athletics from now on. And finally, I will provide you insight with the slight differences between men and women's basketball. After a huge playoff game, the big names of the NBA circulate around ESPN, the internet, and even meal conversations. But what about the women who play the same exact game just as well? According to John Wertheim, author of Towering Power, Brittney Griner, sophomore at Baylor University, simply perverts the art of women's basketball beyond recognition. Brittney Griner is a 6'8" center for the Baylor Bears. She is the tallest player in the women's game, with a 7'4" wingspan. Wertheim explains, if she sees a shot, she takes it. If she sees a loose ball, she grabs it. And if she sees a weak offering from an opponent, she swats it. She is changing the face of women's basketball one dunk and one swat at a time. For the people who do not primarily support women's basketball, I hear it's because we can't dunk. Brittney Griner can. In her high school career alone, she dunked 52 times in only 32 games. She has been able to dunk since she was 16 years old at 6'3". The best part is, according to ESPN Sports Science, Brittney Griner has larger hands than LeBron James and a longer reach than Andrew Bynum. This girl is a powerhouse. She possesses just as much skill and aggression as the next male basketball player does. There is simply no difference than watching her in an NBA game. Mind you, she is just in college. She has years to improve. Watch out, LeBron James. Now that I have talked about one of the best players in the women's game, I will convince you to watch a team that plays for Seattle who will change the way you view Washington professional sports from now on. Now, I cannot speak for all of you, but I know that I personally get extremely frustrated watching the Seattle Mariners and the Seahawks make somewhat of a mockery out of Seattle athletics. If you have not heard about our basketball team, though, let me introduce you to the Seattle Storm. The Seattle Storm is a two-time WNBA championship team. According to WNBA.com, they won their first title in 2004 and their second just last year. This team is the best that the WNBA has to currently offer. Let me break it down for you further. Collectively as a team, they possess more skill than any other woman does on the court. And undoubtedly, they can give a handful of the NBA teams a run for their money. They are home to some of the best players in the entire league, including Sue Bird, Lauren Jackson, and Swin Cash. With a winning roster, they have not let Seattle down. Last season, they achieved a 9-1 record, which was the best 10-game start in franchise history. Later, with just 11 games left on the schedule, they were number 1 in their conference, and at that point, they were at a 13-game winning streak, most of them won by fourth-quarter comebacks. They were soon on their way to the WNBA championships for the second time, where they beat the Atlanta Dream, and they took the title once again. You want to watch a Seattle team that consistently wins? Good thing I introduced you to the Seattle Storm today, because they are amazing. That was their 2010 season. Their 2011 season started yesterday at 12, and I am very confident in them. The question is not why would you support them, it's how could you not? So far, I have talked about one of the female basketball players who has the ability to compete with the men in the NBA, and hopefully I have provided you with reason to support the Storm. Now I will persuade you to watch the women's basketball based on the differences compared to the men's game. Why watch women's basketball? Kathy Rush, author of Women's Basketball, explains, traditionally, people think that women play a weaker and slower version of the men's game, that we are held back by restrictive rules. This is so untrue. With each decade that passes, Rush explains that the female basketball players have adapted a more masculine style of play. Women play with strength and aggression as men do, but on top of that, they play with finesse and grace. Nancy Lieberman Klein, author of Basketball for Women, explains that one big difference between men and women's basketball is that men possess a cockiness that allows them to sacrifice the good of their team for their own glory and attention, while women tend to rely on their team and play together. What is the point of a team if an individual puts themselves first and worries about everyone else second? Gino Auriemma, head coach of the UConn women's basketball team, states, "Players are players, not genders." According to the article Guy Coach, Girl Team, No Losses by Gregory Sean, he treats his players no differently than he would treat a men's team. Maybe this is why the UConn women had an 88-game winning streak last season. The female basketball players have worked hard over time to improve the game and make it equal to men's play. Today I have made my case about watching and supporting women's basketball. I have opened your eyes to an amazing female player. You now are aware of the female championship team, the Storm. In addition, you all have the knowledge of some minor differences between the men and women's game. Do not get me wrong. I love watching men play, but there are women out there that can compete and amazing female teams that are worth paying attention to. I understand that the game may not relate to some of you, but it is worth the watch and women do deserve the support. If it is not basketball you're into, go watch women play the sport that you are passionate about. I promise it'll make you appreciate what you do that much more. Finally, as someone who actually plays the game and has to constantly hear the negative comments and deal with low attendance rates, think twice before you roll your eyes and shake your head when the subject comes up. I've spent almost 14 years of my life building skills and leading several different teams. Appreciate what you do and stand up for it when people try and discourage you. Before you criticize women's basketball, go watch the game and then come back with me with your opinion.